Have you ever wondered if that pile of pennies sitting in your drawer could be worth more than just pocket change? Well, brace yourselves because today, I've got a story about one humble little penny that's worth a fortune, and I mean seriously worth it. We're talking about the 1971 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, which, in some rare cases, could fetch a mind-blowing $1.6 million. Yes, you heard that right. This is the type of penny that makes you rethink that jar of loose change sitting on your desk. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you might just become a coin hunting expert. Or at least look at pennies a little differently. Alright, let's get down to business. You might be sitting there thinking, wait, what's so special about a penny from 1971? I get it. It's not exactly the first year you'd think of when you hear valuable coin, but bear with me. So, this little nugget of history from 1971 was minted in San Francisco, marked with the S mint mark. Most people wouldn't bat an eye at a 1971 penny. After all, it's not exactly ancient. But here's where it gets wild. The 1971 S penny, specifically the proof version, has a few rare characteristics that make it a coveted treasure among collectors. You see, the 1971 S pennies were part of a batch of proof coins made for collectors, but some of these didn't turn out quite like the rest. A few pennies from this batch ended up with a double die error, where the die used to stamp the image of Lincoln was misaligned, meaning the penny has an almost double look to it, especially around the date and the lettering. This error is what can make the coin worth a small fortune. Now, don't go running to your drawer just yet. Finding one of these can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. But let me tell you, if you do find one, you might want to sit down because it could be worth more than your car. Now, you might be asking, how on earth do I even spot a double die error? Well, first, check the date and the lettering around Lincoln's bust. If it looks like it's been stamped twice, overlapping, you could be in for a jackpot. The condition of the coin matters too. A pristine, uncirculated coin will be more valuable than one that's been through the laundry, and we've all had one of those coins. And here's the kicker. If you happen to find one in mint condition, you're looking at a value that could go into the millions. Yes, the million with an M. Alright, let's switch gears for a second. Let me share a funny little story. A few years ago, I was going through some old change I had lying around. You know, the usual collection of pennies, dimes, and a few random nickels. I thought, hey, maybe I've got something valuable here. So I started checking them one by one. I spent hours scouring my pennies, hoping I'd find a gem. After an exhausting search, I came across what I thought was a double die error. My heart raced. I thought, this is it. I found a treasure. But turns out, it was just a worn-out penny with some damage. Classic. So, I learned two things that day. 1. Never get too excited about a beat-up penny, and 2. Always double-check with a professional if you think you've got something valuable. The truth is, finding a coin like the 1971 S double die penny is rare. But if you've got one in your collection or you stumble upon it while going through your change, you could be in for a windfall. It's one of those rare opportunities where a little bit of luck and a lot of knowledge can go a long way. Plus, knowing what to look for can make you the person everyone asks about coins. Trust me, you'll start getting phone calls from your friends and family asking if their 1982 pennies are worth anything. The 1971 S mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny could be worth a whopping $1.6 million if you've got the right one in your hands. A double die error penny in excellent condition. Now, I don't know about you, but I'll be looking at pennies a little differently from now on. Who knows? That little penny you've been ignoring might just be the ticket to a huge payday. Before I let you go, if you want more tips on finding valuable coins, learning about coin collecting, or just having fun with money-making strategies, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss out on future tips and tricks. Who knows? Your next coin discovery might just make you a millionaire. Thanks for hanging out with me, and happy coin hunting! You're cleaning out your old piggy bank, just looking for loose change to grab a cup of coffee, and boom! You find a penny from 1965 with no mint mark. Now, you might think, well, it's just a penny, right? Oh, but wait. That little copper coin could be worth more than you ever imagined, and not just a few cents, but $1 million. Yes, you heard me right. A 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark could potentially fetch a jaw-dropping $1.7 million at auction. So, before you toss that coin in your jar, let me explain why that penny might just make you rich. Alright, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. So, 1965. That's 1960s America, when we were grooving to the Beatles and everyone was trying to figure out what the heck a peace sign really meant. But back then, there was something else happening, a major shift in US coinage. See, normally, pennies have mint marks to indicate where they were made. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. But in 1965, the US Mint decided to ditch the mint marks on most of their coins. And this, my friends, is where things get interesting. Now, for the most part, this change didn't have a huge impact on the coins that were minted. But, and here's where the plot thickens, some of those 1965 pennies slipped through the cracks without any mint mark at all. These are the ones that could be worth a fortune. How does that happen? Well, we think it's because some pennies were accidentally produced using leftover blanks from previous years that hadn't been stamped with mint marks. So, if you find a 1965 penny with no mint mark, it's considered a mint error, and as you can guess, errors like this make coins incredibly valuable to collectors. Now, how much is it worth? Well, a lot. A 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark could go for around $1.7 million at auction if it's in great condition, and even if it's not in perfect shape, you're still looking at a significant amount of cash. We're talking thousands of dollars for just one penny, which is enough to make you do a double take, right? Let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was out at a yard sale, just casually sifting through old boxes of junk, looking for something interesting. I found a jar of coins and thought, why not? I picked it up for just a couple of bucks and figured I could spend a few hours sorting through it. Long story short, I found a coin that looked like it had a mint error, but it was just a regular 1970s penny. However, it got me thinking about how many people overlook old coins and how many valuable ones are out there, including the ones with no mint marks. That day, I didn't find my $1.7 million penny, but I did realize just how often these rare coins go unnoticed. Always check your change, especially old pennies. Who knows? You might have one of those accidental treasures hiding in plain sight, so what can you do with this newfound knowledge? Well, if you have any old pennies lying around, now's the time to take a closer look. A 1965 Lincoln penny without a mint mark could be a game changer for your coin collection, or it might just be the lucky charm that makes you a millionaire. Coin collecting isn't just about finding rare pennies or quarters, though that's always a bonus. It's about knowing where to look, understanding what makes a coin special, and keeping your eyes peeled for those little nuggets of history. Trust me, it's not just about luck. It's about strategy. Do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any tips, tricks, and hidden gems from the world of coins. You never know, the next video might just help you find that $1 million penny you've been waiting for. And hey, if you do find one, don't forget who gave you the heads up. You're walking down the street, maybe grabbing a coffee or running errands, and you find a penny. Most of us would just pocket it and forget about it, right? I mean, it's just a penny. But what if I told you that some pennies, especially a certain one from 1963, could be worth over $1.8 million? Yes, you heard that right, million with an M. Stick around, because today we're diving deep into the mystery of the 1963 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and how it went from a simple coin to a treasure worth more than a house. Trust me, you'll want to know if you've got one of these pennies hiding in your piggy bank. Now, before we get too carried away, let's break down this whole 1963 no-mint mark penny thing. In 1963, the US Mint produced tons of Lincoln pennies. But here's the catch, some of those pennies didn't have a mint mark. Mint marks are the little letters D, S, or no mark at all that tell you where the coin was made, Denver, San Francisco, or Philadelphia. In 1963, most pennies came out of Philadelphia, and normally, they had no mint mark. However, a small handful of these pennies are missing a mint mark entirely due to a crazy mistake in the minting process. But here's the thing. Not all 1963 pennies are valuable, and not all of them are missing the mint mark. So, what makes this specific penny so special? It's an error coin. That's right, the 1963 no mint mark penny wasn't supposed to exist, but it does, and that rarity is what sends its value soaring through the roof. A single 1963 no-mint mark penny has been known to sell for as much as $1.8 million. That's a pretty nice chunk of change for something that was meant to be worth 1 cent. It's kind of like finding out your old comic book collection could retire you at the beach. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, but how do I know if I have one of these? Well, it's pretty simple. If you've got a 1963 penny lying around, take a closer look. Turn it over, and if you see no mint mark, there's a chance you're holding a golden ticket. But here's the kicker. Not all 1963 pennies without a mint mark are going to be worth a fortune. The key is that error coins are extremely rare, and you need a combination of factors to make it worth a lot. Condition matters, too. A penny that's been run over by a car or spent years in the dirt won't have the same value as one that's still in good shape. I don't even have a 1963 penny, let alone one with no mint mark. Well, that's where a little story comes in. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my drawers, the ones full of random stuff you think you'll need someday, and I found a small jar filled with coins. Not just pennies, but all kinds of coins, mostly old ones I had forgotten about. I looked through it for fun and found a 1963 penny. My heart skipped a beat. No mint mark. But alas, after careful inspection and checking all the right resources, I realized it wasn't one of the rare error pennies. Cue dramatic side, I didn't become a millionaire that day. But let me tell you, it was one of those moments where I felt like I had struck gold. Even though it wasn't the $1.8 million coin, I learned so much about coins, and now I'm always on the lookout for anything rare or unusual in my collection. So, if you're sitting on a 1963 penny, go ahead, check it out. It might not be worth millions, but it could still be worth more than the penny it started as. And if you don't have one, don't worry. There are tons of other rare and valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. All it takes is a little knowledge, some patience, and a little bit of luck. Before you run off to dig through your coin jar, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on more tips and tricks about coins that could be worth serious money. I'll keep sharing valuable insights on coins you might have lying around, just waiting to be turned into a small fortune. Don't let those pennies fool you. Sometimes, the smallest things have the biggest value. And who knows? Maybe one day, you'll find that $1.8 million penny sitting in your pocket. What if I told you that a penny, yes, a single penny, could be worth more than most cars on the road? It's true. A 2008 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is currently valued at a jaw-dropping $1.9 million. Sounds crazy, right? Well, sit tight because I'm about to tell you all about this rare gem, how it made its way to such an insane value, and why you might have one hiding in your pocket right now. I'll also share some insider tips on how to spot valuable coins and how to avoid the most common mistakes collectors make. Trust me, after today's video, you'll be checking your change like you've just won the lottery. Stick around now, let's talk about this penny. It's not your average pocket change. The 2008 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny was produced at the Denver Mint, just like millions of other pennies that year. But here's where it gets wild. Only a small number of these pennies were struck with a mistake, and that mistake is what makes them so valuable today. You see, during the minting process, a die, a metal stamp that presses the design onto the coin, had a little hiccup. Some of these pennies ended up with a double die error, meaning the image of Abraham Lincoln was unintentionally stamped twice. This gave the coin a kind of blurry, double outline that collectors went absolutely crazy for when it was discovered. Now, you might be wondering, how in the world do I know if I've got one of these pennies in my pocket? Don't worry, I've got you covered. First things first, check the mint mark. If it's a D, like the one from Denver, you're off to a good start. Next, take a close look at the image of Lincoln. If you notice that the date or the lettering is a little blurry or doubled, congratulations. You might just have a rare coin worth a fortune. But here's a funny story to help you put things into perspective. I once found a penny in my couch cushions. It was a regular, run-of-the-mill penny. I remember thinking, oh cool, a penny. Better than finding nothing. I tossed it into a jar, completely unaware that I was actually holding on to a potential gold mine. Fast forward a few months, I started watching more coin videos, a hobby I'm pretty passionate about, and found out that pennies like the one I tossed aside could be worth thousands, or even millions, if they had the right error. Needless to say, I went back through every penny in that jar, hoping to find a $1.9 million coin. But no such luck. Moral of the story? Never underestimate the value of a penny and always double-check what you've got before tossing it away. Now, let's dive into what makes these 2008 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln pennies so valuable. Like I said earlier, the double die error is the key. But how much is this penny really worth? Well, it's not just about having the right mint mark and error. It also depends on the condition of the coin. If your penny is in mint condition, you could be looking at a coin that's worth nearly $1.9 million. But if it's a little worn down, don't fret. Your coin could still fetch a pretty penny, pun intended. Even a lesser quality coin can bring in a few $1,000s at auction. I'm not a millionaire yet, but I've got some pennies lying around. What else should I be on the lookout for? Great question. There are a ton of other coins with errors or rare features that could be worth serious cash. For example, keep an eye out for pennies from the 1950s, as some of those have valuable minting errors. Don't forget about wheat pennies, either. They may be old, but some of them can bring in huge amounts if they're rare enough, so next time you dig through your couch cushions or check your spare change jar, take a moment to inspect those pennies. You never know. Your next find could be worth more than you think. Remember, it's not always about the age of the coin. Sometimes, it's about that one little mistake that turns an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. If you enjoyed learning about this 2008 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny and want more tips on how to spot coins worth money, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got a lot more coin strategies coming your way, and who knows, maybe your next treasure hunt will be even more rewarding than this one. So, you thought pennies were just, well, pennies, right? But what if I told you that one particular penny from 2015 could be worth a whopping $2 million? Yeah, you heard that right. I know what you're thinking. A penny? 2 million? Am I in a bad infomercial? But stick with me, because we're about to dive into why the 2015 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is making waves in the coin world, and how this tiny little copper piece is suddenly the talk of the town. Now, before we go all big bucks on this penny, let's break it down a bit. The 2015 Abraham Lincoln penny, also known as the Lincoln Memorial penny, is pretty much like any other penny you see on the ground or in your change jar. Except this one has no mint mark. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. It's blank, like an overachieving student who didn't need to put their name on the paper to get an A. Here's where things get interesting. Every penny made by the U.S. Mint has a mint mark, unless it's from the year 2015. That year, the U.S. Mint made a huge mistake, and some of the pennies came out without a mint mark. It's almost like they decided to play a little game of "Where's the mint mark?" and forgot to tell us the answer. And as you might guess, mistakes like that don't go unnoticed in the world of rare coins, so how does this penny go from being just another coin to potentially being worth $2 million? Well, since there are so few of these no mint mark pennies out there, their rarity makes them highly sought after by collectors. It's like the "Where's Waldo?" of coins, and only the lucky few who find it in their collection are cashing in. But wait, before you start rushing to check your jar of pennies from 2015, not every one of them is worth millions. This penny needs to be in mint condition. No scratches, no dirt, no weird nicks. We're talking about a pristine, shiny penny, like it just rolled off the press yesterday. If yours looks like it's been through a washer and dryer cycle, well, let's just say the $2 million value is probably not in your future. Okay, so I check my pennies, but how do I even know if I've got one of these hidden treasures? Well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is, you don't need to hire a coin expert to tell you if you've got a 2015 no mint mark penny. You can spot it yourself with a little magnifying glass, some patience, and a good light. The bad news is, well, these pennies are rare, and they're probably not just lying around waiting for you to find them. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. I used to throw my pennies in a jar without a second thought. Until one day, I was watching a coin auction on YouTube, because who doesn't love a good coin auction video, right? And I saw someone auctioning off a 2015 no mint mark penny for $2 million. I was like, hold up, wait a minute. I've got 10 jars of pennies at home. And after a thorough search that took way longer than I care to admit, I realized my pennies weren't nearly as valuable as I'd hoped. But hey, there's always next time. Moral of the story? Never underestimate the power of a penny. You never know when you'll strike gold. Or at least a few $100. Alright, folks, there you have it. The 2015 no-mint mark penny. A coin that could potentially be worth $2 million, depending on its condition and rarity. If you've got one of these gems, congrats. And if you're still digging through your pennies, don't give up just yet. You might be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Now, before you run off to your coin jar or start Googling how to sell a penny for millions, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on more tips, tricks, and insider strategies about coins that are worth a lot more than face value. I'll be back with more stories and tips to help you cash in on your collection. You're going through your old coin jar. Maybe you've just inherited a dusty old penny collection from a relative and bam, you find a coin that could be worth millions. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into a coin that has some serious value hidden in plain sight. The 1973 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And guess what? Some of these pennies have been known to sell for a mind-blowing $2.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. So, if you've got a 1973 D lying around, you might want to grab your magnifying glass and start looking a little closer. Alright, let's break this down. The 1973 D penny, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the back, is not just any ordinary penny. Normally, you wouldn't think twice about a penny minted in 1973. After all, it's just a penny. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of these pennies, with the D mint mark, indicating they were struck in Denver, have a very rare and valuable defect. Now, the majority of these pennies are worth their face value, 1 cent. But there are a few key pennies out there that have an error in their design. Specifically, some 1973 D pennies were minted with what we call a double die error. This means that the design was struck onto the coin more than once, giving the penny a sort of double impression look, especially on the lettering. It's like the coin was feeling extra generous and gave you a double helping of Abraham Lincoln's face. But here's the kicker. These double die pennies are incredibly rare. So rare, in fact, that if you have one, it could be worth a fortune. There are stories of these pennies fetching prices in the millions. The most famous of these is a 1973 D penny that sold for a jaw-dropping $2.1 million at auction. That's right, 1 cent turning into $2 million. Makes you want to go dig through all those old coin jars, doesn't it? Let me take you back to a story of my own. A while ago, I was at a local coin shop, just browsing around, minding my own business. The shopkeeper was showing off some rare coins, and I started chatting with a fellow collector. He told me he had recently found a penny from the 70s that was worth a lot more than he thought. I didn't think much of it at first, but then he mentioned that it was a 1973 D penny with a double die error. That little penny was worth thousands, and I couldn't believe it. It got me thinking about how much treasure could be hidden in the most ordinary places, like your change jar. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if you've got one of these rare 1973 D pennies? The key is the visual error on the lettering. If you look closely at the date or the word Liberty on the front, you might notice a second impression, kind of like a blurry shadow. It's a subtle detail, but if you find it, it's the golden ticket. Of course, not every 1973 D penny is going to be worth millions. The ones that fetch such high prices are the rare, near-perfect specimens. But even if your penny doesn't look like it's ready for an auction house, don't sweat it. You could still have something valuable. It's always a good idea to get your pennies checked by a professional if you think they might be something special. So, what have we learned today? The 1973 D penny might seem like just another penny in your pocket, but if it has that elusive double die error, it could be worth a small fortune. While most of these pennies won't make you a millionaire, the rare ones are truly worth their weight in gold, or at least in silver and copper. Keep an eye on the condition of your coins, and don't throw anything away without giving it a closer look. You never know, the next coin you find could be your ticket to the big time. If you enjoyed this video, or you're just starting your own coin collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got loads of tips coming your way to help you spot those rare coins that might just be sitting in your jar right now. Plus, who knows, maybe one day we'll be celebrating your $2.1 million coin discovery. If you've ever dug through your pockets or sifted through a jar of loose change, you've probably come across a penny or two, maybe even some with a bit of age on them. But let me ask you this. Have you ever found a coin that could be worth millions? No, I'm not kidding. Today, we're talking about the 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yeah, you heard that right. A penny could be worth a cool $2.2 million. I know, you're probably thinking, a penny for my thoughts? More like a penny for a mansion. Stick around, because I'm about to share some details about this amazing little coin and why it's got collectors scrambling. You might be wondering, what's so special about this 1979 penny? Well, for starters, it's not your typical, run-of-the-mill, everyday coin. The 1979 D Lincoln penny is a rare variety that was mistakenly produced with a D mint mark that doesn't quite match the rest of the batch. Essentially, it's a case of a production error that made this penny stand out from the crowd. And trust me, error coins like this can be worth big bucks. Now, let's talk about this $2.2 million thing. This coin isn't just a lucky penny you'd find in your change jar. It's a major find that's been authenticated and sold to a high bidder who was more than happy to pay that staggering amount. If you're thinking, what are the chances I'd find one of these? Well, that's the fun part of coin collecting. Sometimes, the stars align and you end up finding a gem. But don't go tossing every penny you find into a jar thinking it's going to make you a millionaire. The key to spotting one of these 1979 D pennies is knowing what to look for. First off, take a look at the mint mark itself. The D is located right under Abraham Lincoln's name. On the bottom of the obverse side, that's the head side, for all you new collectors out there. If it looks slightly off, maybe a little blurry or faint, or even the wrong size, ding, 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 you might have one of those rare error pennies on your hands. But wait, there's more. This penny isn't just any error penny. In fact, only a handful of them were ever made, and most of them were missed during the minting process. The 1979 D Mint Mark variety has a unique feature, double die error, that makes it look like Lincoln has some extra, funky features on his face. If you're wondering what that looks like, picture a half-melted wax figure. Kind of creepy, but totally fascinating for collectors. This is the stuff that makes coin hunting so much fun. It's like a treasure hunt where you never know what you'll find. But sometimes, if you're lucky, it's worth a small fortune. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, I might just have one of these, I've got to say, don't get too excited yet. You'll need to get it authenticated by a professional. These error coins are highly sought after, and you want to make sure you're not getting scammed by someone who's trying to sell you a fake. Trust me, I learned that the hard way. A couple of years ago, I thought I found a rare 1955 double die penny. I went on a wild goose chase trying to get it valued, only to find out it was just a regular old penny. The disappointment was real. But hey, at least I learned my lesson. So, what's the bottom line here? If you happen to find a 1979 D Lincoln penny with a funky mint mark or an odd-looking face, it's time to hold on to it. Check it out carefully, and if it meets the criteria, you might have a serious collector's item in your hands. It's a small chance, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye out. And hey, if you don't find a $1 million penny, at least you'll have a cool collection to brag about at the next family gathering. Now, before you run off to go dig through your couch cushions or start inspecting every penny in your wallet, I've got a little favor to ask. If you found this video interesting or helpful, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips on coin hunting, hidden treasures, and strategies to help you build a coin collection that could actually make you some money. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for more of these fun and informative videos. Who knows, maybe the next video could be the one where I talk about the next coin worth $1 million. You don't want to miss it. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a penny, and realizing you've got a small fortune sitting in your hand. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, buckle up, because today, we're talking about the 2021 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that could make you rich. I'm talking a cool $2.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. We're diving into this surprisingly rare penny and how it went from just another coin to a collector's dream. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just check your piggy bank for hidden treasures. Let's kick things off with some basics. Most of us know the Lincoln penny. It's been around since 1909, and Abraham Lincoln's face has graced that little copper piece for over a century. But what's so special about the 2021 D Mint Mark version? I mean, it's just a penny, right? Well, not exactly. The 2021 D Mint Mark penny isn't just any penny. It's a rare penny. In fact, there are some pretty big stories about these pennies popping up in unexpected places and fetching huge prices. So, let me walk you through it. First, let's talk about what makes this penny so valuable. While the 2021 D Mint Mark penny is technically not a limited release or part of some special anniversary series, it's still unique. See, not all pennies are created equal. You know how sometimes you find a penny and think, it's just a penny, then toss it back? Well, some of us might be tossing away a small fortune without even realizing it. The 2021 D Mint Mark penny is part of a very specific set of coins that have been called error coins. And no, we're not talking about a simple scratch or a misprint. This one's different. Some of these 2021 pennies were made with errors that make them extremely valuable. Specifically, certain coins have an odd and incredibly rare misprint where the minting process didn't go quite as planned. A little imperfection here and there, and boom. You've got yourself a future collector's item worth millions. This rare flaw, combined with how few of these pennies actually made it into circulation, can push the price through the roof. And I'm not talking about pennies that are just worth a couple bucks either. No, no. We're talking millions. Some of these error coins have been appraised at around $2.3 million. Yes, you can actually find a penny with a D Mint mark that might be worth the price of a small house. Or, if you're lucky, a whole mansion. Imagine looking through your change jar and finding that one penny that could buy you a nice vacation. Or maybe even a yacht, if you're into that kind of thing. Now, let's talk about how to find one of these little gold mines. Spoiler alert. It's not as easy as just looking for one of these pennies in your change every time you stop by the store. First, the chances of finding one of these rare pennies is slim. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. But you know what they say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, if you're serious about finding a rare coin, keep your eyes peeled. Start by checking your 2021 pennies for those minting errors. Look for things like doubling, fading, or weird spots where the coin's design just doesn't look quite right. And remember, even if you don't find one right away, the hunt can be part of the fun. As I've learned from personal experience, sometimes you don't realize the value of something until it's right under your nose. I was sifting through a jar of old coins from my childhood, just casually tossing stuff aside, when I came across a coin I had no idea was worth anything. Turns out, it was a rare dime, and I got a couple $100 for it. The moral of the story? Never underestimate your spare change. But finding these coins is only the first part of the journey. If you do stumble upon one of these rare error coins, it's important to get it authenticated. There are a lot of counterfeit coins out there, and you don't want to sell a treasure that's actually just a piece of junk. So, head over to a professional coin grader or use online resources to verify that what you've found is the real deal. If it is, congratulations, you've just hit the jackpot.so. What's the takeaway from all this? The 2021 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny could be sitting right under your nose, and if you're lucky enough to find one, you might just be looking at a small fortune. The moral of the story? Never pass up a penny, especially if it's from 2021. You never know if it could be the one that changes your financial future. Now, if you're feeling inspired and want to learn more tips and strategies for spotting valuable coins, or just want to stay up to date with the latest finds in the world of coin collecting, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more coin tips, tricks, and hilarious stories about my own treasure hunts coming your way. So, join the community and let's keep this coin collecting journey rolling. Thanks for watching, and who knows? Maybe the next time you're flipping through your change, you'll find a coin worth more than you ever imagined. You ever find a penny on the ground and think, it's just a penny? Well, if you're like me, you might have been unknowingly passing up a potential gold mine. Let me tell you about a coin you might have in your pocket right now that could be worth, wait for it, $2.4 million. No, that's not a typo. A 2016 penny, yes, a penny, could have a mint condition that's worth millions. Stick around, because we're diving into the world of the 2016 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, you won't want to miss this. All right, let's break it down. The 2016 no mint mark penny. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? It's just a regular penny, except it's not. You see, most coins have a mint mark on them, indicating where they were produced, like the famous D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But in 2016, something strange happened. The US Mint accidentally released a batch of pennies that didn't have any mint mark at all. And while this may sound like a simple mistake, in the world of coin collecting, a missing mint mark can make a coin extremely rare and super valuable. Now, here's where the fun part begins. If you find a 2016 penny that has no mint mark and is in mint condition, it could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. In fact, these rare pennies have sold for as much as $2.4 million. That's right, folks. You could be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. To be honest, it feels like I'm talking about a treasure hunt, but the treasure is in your pocket. But let's be real here for a second. Finding one of these rare pennies isn't something you'll come across every day. It's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack, right? But if you're on the lookout, you might just get lucky. I've been on this coin collecting journey for years now, and let me tell you, I've had some wild experiences with common coins that turned out to be worth a lot more than I thought. Let me share a quick story with you. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale. Nothing too fancy, just your typical, stuff I don't need kind of event. I was digging through a box of old coins and found a 1955 penny. At first, I thought, cool, it's just another old penny. But as I was about to toss it back into the box, I remembered hearing something about a rare double-die penny from 1955. I checked it out and boom, I had found myself a little gem worth about $1,000. I couldn't believe it. It was like I had won the coin lottery. So, imagine what you could do with a 2016 no mint mark penny. The possibilities are endless. Now, let's talk about how to spot this coin. First, look closely at the date. It's got to be 2016. Next, check the reverse side to make sure it's a penny with no mint mark at all. You should see the Lincoln Memorial on the back, but no mint mark next to the year. If you find one of these, the value could skyrocket depending on its condition. The more pristine the coin, the more money you can potentially make. So, check your change jar, your piggy bank, or even under your couch cushions. You never know where a rare penny might be hiding. Okay, so I know I've got you all excited about checking every penny you find. But here's the thing. Don't get discouraged if you don't have a 2016 no mint mark penny sitting in your collection. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and who knows? You might have other valuable coins lying around that you didn't even realize had worth it. So, if you want to keep your eyes peeled for hidden treasures like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because I'll be sharing more tips, tricks, and strategies on how to spot rare coins and make some serious money. And hey, if you find something worth a fortune, don't forget to tell me about it in the comments. I love hearing about your coin collecting adventures. Remember, the next time you see a penny, you might not just be looking at 1 cent. You could be staring at $1 million mistake waiting to happen. Stay curious, happy hunting, and I'll catch you in the next video.